Hey everyone, I'm here to talk to you about the National Security Agency and their surveillance programs. So a little background, the National Security Agency, or NSA for short, is an intelligence agency responsible for global monitoring, collection, decoding, and signals intelligence, which is the translation of information in foreign intelligence and counterintelligence purposes. U.S. spy agencies have built an intelligence gathering colossus since the terrorist attacks on September 11, 2001. But remain unable to provide critical information to the president on a range of national security threats. A major part of the NSA surveillance programs include the mining of metadata, or the collection of information regarding phone calls, texts, and internet activity. Although the NSA cannot look into the content of your calls, it can look into every aspect of the calls, such as time, location, and whom the call involves. So my major claim is that the National Security Agency's collection of metadata harms the American people. I'm going to support this by proving my secondary claims that collecting and storing metadata violates privacy rights of Americans, ineffectively uses tax dollars, and undermines democracy by operating in secret. So for my first claim, collecting and storing metadata violates privacy rights of Americans. As a result of a lawsuit by the Electronic Frontier Foundation, the Office of the Director of National Intelligence declassified a cache of documents in 2013, which revealed more than a dozen FISA court, Foreign Intelligence Surveillance Court rulings, and internal documents. Among these documents are details of a so-called compliance breach in 2009, which shows the NSA improperly tracking more than 15,000 suspects in violation of FISA court rulings. Of these 15,000 suspects, only 2,000 of them met the appropriate guidelines by the FISA court. This alone is over 10,000 instances in where the NSA overstepped its boundaries, a crime which the agency received nothing more than a slap on the wrist. In 2006, an AT&T technician named Mark Klein went public with his discovery of a room in the San Francisco office that had a supercomputer copying massive amounts of internet and phone data to be sent to the NSA. Although the NSA refuses to comment on this event, it appears that the computer continues to mine data. A testimony by Edward Snowden, a former intelligence contractor who sought to expose top-secret NSA activity, explains that among the 1 billion messages intercepted by the NSA each day, some are viewed without a warrant. This directly violates our Fourth Amendment right. Before searching Americans' private communications, the Fourth Amendment requires that the government demonstrate probable cause or individualized suspicion by providing a warrant. And the government's capacity to build extensive secret digital dossiers on such a massive scale is totally at odds with our Fourth Amendment right. In democracy, people are entitled to know what techniques are being used to spy on them, how their records are being held and for how long, who will have access to them, and the safeguards in place to prevent abuse. Even if most Americans believe that Obama will not abuse their personal information, no one knows who will occupy the White House in the future or lead intelligence operations. This brings me to my second point, that NSA surveillance is an ineffective use of taxpayer money. Again, Edward Snowden, a former intelligence contractor, released a long detailed budget for intelligence agencies in fiscal 2013 that shows the NSA's budget at about $10.8 billion, almost double what it was in 2004 at $6 billion, just over $6 billion. The summary also showed that a significant amount of this money is going towards data mining and analysis. With billions of calls, texts, and internet use happening every day, it seems to be very ineffective to use our money to try to document, store, and analyze all this information. Judge Claire V. Egan of the FISA court released a 29-page opinion in 2013 confirming that Verizon, AT&T, and Sprint provide the NSA access to copies of massive amounts of this data. However, this isn't a free service. The opinion also found that roughly $278 million were paid to these companies in 2013, and that the government has spent nearly $400 million at the peak of this. Taxpayer money is being used to pay the salaries of government workers whose jobs are to collect and analyze data about taxpayers, and where some of our money is going back to phone companies in order to allow the government to spy on us. The NSA is still trying to expand their database, continuing to spend more and more taxpayer money on secret operations that do not benefit us. My last point is that secrecy in government agencies undermines democracy. In 2008, Keith Alexander, NSA chief, bought and sold tens of thousands of dollars in stock in a company called Synchronoss Technologies Incorporated. This company was responsible or provided technology that synced iPhones to AT&T servers. This means that Alexander looked to profit every time someone bought an iPhone with AT&T. This is just one example of how this huge cache of data can be abused. After Snowden began spilling top secret information, there's a lot of flip-flopping in the statements made by Obama and the NSA department head, which makes it seem like we're never getting the full truth. Most of the information we have on NSA's budget and surveillance activities are the result of court orders and information leaks. This is not conducive with a government agency in a democracy. The NSA refuses to divulge most of this information, claiming that it would be a threat to national security. Lastly, in June of last year, German Interior Ministry chose not to renew its contract with Verizon, claiming that, or citing concerns that top officials may have been wiretapped. This results in a lack of trust of foreign nations and American companies. So in conclusion, the NSA is not acting in the people's best interest, and if the security agency is not reformed, it will continue to waste taxpayer dollars, undermine the basic rights of American people, and operate in secret. Thank you.
All right, Sean, the proposition is nicely stated. There's a very clear secondary structure that you set up. When you get to the body of the speech, you do a good job signposting those points as you get to them. I think you turn them all into claims of fact, so that works pretty well. You've got some good data on some of these points to show that the activities are extensive, that there are, in fact, some violations of the Fourth Amendment protocols. Your citation of the data from the FISA courts is, I think, pretty effective in regard to that on the first point. There is, however, a couple of places where there are issues. For instance, you make the argument about the money that we're spending and it being inefficient. We are spending some money on that. I think that is probably not going to be in dispute. Whether or not it's a significant amount of money, I don't know. But whether or not we're getting anything for what we're spending our money on, you don't really have anything. Obviously, the NSA is not going to tell us what they've got because it's a secret, that sort of thing, how they're doing this. But you make a claim that says it's not effective, it's not producing any particular benefit, and that's the thing that I think is a little bit thin in your argument. I haven't heard any reason to doubt that there might in fact be some benefit from the data mining that you're talking about. It just seems like the very idea that they are data mining is problematic, as opposed to what they're doing is wasteful, or they found nothing, or that there's internal criticism from, let's say, some of those leakers and some of those whistleblowers that you were citing, but all they do is tell us about the statistics, that sort of thing. I don't get any information about the inference that you're making that is, that it's producing nothing. On the issue of it being, not transparent or it's undemocratic, I think that's an interesting point. The argument that you had there that talked about how other governments are distrustful as a consequence and that it's created problems for us, I think that's a good piece of information to kind of suggest something's going on there. The NSA people getting some benefit, financial benefit from this, I think that's a little screwy, and I think that needs to be developed more. And the notion that the Obama administration and the NSA chief were not forthcoming, I think that's the strongest argument that you have there, that they obfuscated information, they didn't come forward. I think you could have probably been more particular in pointing out some of the ways in which they were inconsistent when answering questions after this whole thing broke. Yeah, I know. The language of the speech is very nice. It's if you were writing this as a paper, it would sound very good, and I think you try to deliver it pretty well, but you are doing a lot of reading, and it it feels a little bit less organic as a consequence as well. Sometimes it might be a good idea to sacrifice the way in which you're expressing the idea and just be a little bit more direct to the argument. That's one of those things with oral presentations that sometimes people needed a little time to adjust to, because everybody's used to writing. I got to get this sentence crafted right and make it sound really wonderful, and sometimes it takes up the extra time, and it would be easier to just let me get to the point. We're lied to. Here are 3 examples of how we were lied to. X, Y, and Z. If they're lying to us about this, what else are they lying to us about, or that we don't know about? And make it sound that way. All right, thank you.